In a small southern town, where time seemed to drift lazily like the Mississippi River itself, life unfolded under the golden glow of an ever-setting sun. This was a place where everyone knew each other's business, where secrets were as fleeting as the wind through the pines. Among the white picket fences and neatly trimmed lawns stood a modest home that housed Sylvia, a quiet 16-year-old girl whose unassuming demeanor masked the turmoil brewing within her. Sylvia lived with her family in this seemingly idyllic setting, but beneath the surface, tension simmered. Her father, Henry, was a man hardened by years of labor at the local auto shop, his silence and piercing gaze making any form of disobedience unthinkable. To him, rules were not suggestions but absolute laws, and he ruled the house with an iron fist. His wife, Adelina, was the epitome of the perfect housewife on the outside, but inside their home, her obsession with reputation overshadowed any semblance of warmth or compassion. She was driven by appearances, ensuring that the family's facade remained pristine, even if it meant sacrificing genuine connections. Then there was Ellie, Sylvia's 10-year-old sister, brimming with innocence and curiosity. Ellie was the beacon of love in the household, her affection for Sylvia unwavering despite the strained atmosphere. In Ellie, Sylvia found solace, a reminder of the love she once believed existed within her family. But Sylvia harbored a secret, one that threatened to unravel the carefully constructed illusion of their perfect family. It was a secret that would soon bring chaos into their lives, testing the limits of love, betrayal, and redemption. This story begins with Sylvia meeting James, a boy from the neighboring town who spoke of dreams beyond their tiny world. For a brief moment, Sylvia allowed herself to believe in these dreams, envisioning a future far removed from the confines of her current reality. However, fate had other plans. When Sylvia discovered she was pregnant, everything changed. James, the boy who had promised her a new beginning, vanished without a trace, leaving Sylvia alone to face the daunting consequences of her situation. As the evening shadows lengthened, the stage was set for a dramatic confrontation that would alter the course of Sylvia's life forever. The night when everything changed loomed ominously on the horizon, ready to unleash a storm that would test the strength and resilience of Sylvia's spirit. The air was heavy with the weight of impending doom as Sylvia sat alone in her room, clutching the crumpled pregnancy test in trembling hands. Her heart pounded against her chest like a drumbeat signaling the end of innocence. The dim light from her bedside lamp cast long shadows across the walls, emphasizing the stark reality of her situation. Outside, the wind howled softly, carrying whispers of secrets that could no longer remain buried. Inside, Sylvia's mind raced, searching for answers she didn't yet have. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sudden intrusion of Ellie, her wide eyes reflecting both shock and confusion. "Sylvia, what is this?" Ellie asked, pointing at the test lying carelessly on the bed. Before Sylvia could react, Ellie had already bolted out of the room, her young mind unable to process the gravity of what she had just witnessed. Moments later, the door to the living room slammed open, and Adelina stormed in, her face contorted with fury. "What is this, Sylvia?" she screamed, brandishing the pregnancy test like a weapon. Her voice cracked like a whip, lashing out at Sylvia with every syllable. "How dare you bring this shame into my house?" Sylvia tried to speak, her voice barely above a whisper, pleading for understanding. But Adelina's rage drowned out any attempt at explanation. Her words came fast and furious, each one cutting deeper than the last. "You have disgraced this family. Do you have any idea what people will say?" From the corner of the room, Henry finally spoke, his voice cold and devoid of emotion. He didn't shout or curse. Instead, his quiet disdain carried more weight than any raised voice could. "You're no daughter of mine," he stated flatly, his eyes boring into Sylvia with an intensity that left her breathless. The argument escalated into chaos, voices overlapping in a cacophony of accusations and recriminations. Adelina's screams echoed through the house, while Henry's condemning glare pierced through Sylvia's very soul. She stood frozen, unable to move or respond, as the world she had known collapsed around her. Without warning, Adelina grabbed Sylvia's arm and dragged her toward the front door. Sylvia stumbled, trying to resist, but her mother's grip was relentless. With one final shove, she was pushed out into the cold night, the door slamming shut behind her with a deafening finality. Through the thin walls, Sylvia could hear Ellie's muffled cries, adding another layer of anguish to her already shattered heart. Desperately, she pounded on the door, begging for mercy. "Mom. Please, please don't do this." But the house remained silent, indifferent to her pleas. And just like that, Sylvia was cast out into the unforgiving night, her only companion the unborn child growing within her. The rain began to fall as Sylvia wandered aimlessly through the streets of the small southern town, her feet splashing through puddles that reflected the pale moonlight. Each step took her further away from the home she had known, the warmth of familiar faces replaced by the cold indifference of strangers. The houses she passed glowed with inviting lights, windows framed by families gathered together, safe and loved. Yet, for Sylvia, there was no sanctuary, no refuge from the storm that had consumed her life. Her mind raced, searching for solutions, grasping at straws. James was gone, his promises as empty as the spaces between the stars. Her parents had disowned her, their rejection colder than the night air that chilled her to the bone. Inside her, the tiny life she carried depended on her strength, yet she felt utterly powerless against the tide of despair threatening to pull her under. By the time the rain subsided, Sylvia had reached the edge of town, her path leading her further into the unknown. The rising sun painted the horizon in hues of orange and pink, signaling the start of a new day, though for Sylvia, it marked the beginning of a life she never asked for. Determination began to take root, a flicker of hope amidst the ruins of her past. She walked until the sun rose high in the sky, her journey taking her to a crossroads where two paths diverged. One led back to the familiarity of the town she had fled, the other to the uncertain promise of a stranger's kindness. Choosing the latter, she continued walking, her steps growing heavier with each mile, yet her resolve strengthening with each breath. Exhaustion weighed heavily on Sylvia as she approached the outskirts of the town, her legs aching from hours of relentless walking. The morning dew clung to her clothes, and her stomach growled with hunger, reminding her of the days since she'd last eaten properly. As she entered a small store seeking solace, her trembling hands reached for a sandwich displayed on the counter. The cashier, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, glared at her suspiciously. "You got money for that," he barked, his tone harsh and unyielding. Sylvia's cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she checked her empty pockets. Wordlessly, she placed the food back, her pride wounded but still intact. As she turned to leave, the cashier muttered under his breath, "We don't need more charity cases around here." Tears blurred her vision, and she quickened her pace, desperate to escape the judgmental stares and whispered rumors that followed her wherever she went. Her path eventually led her to a small house at the end of a dirt road, its porch light glowing faintly in the early morning mist. Hesitating briefly, she debated whether to knock or continue her journey. Just then the front door opened, revealing an elderly woman with silver hair tied back neatly and sharp eyes scanning the horizon. Upon noticing Sylvia, her expression softened slightly. "Are you just going to stand there, or are you coming in?" the woman asked, her voice firm yet kind. Relieved and grateful, Sylvia stepped inside, finding herself in a warm, welcoming kitchen. The woman introduced herself as Dorothea, offering Sylvia a bowl of steaming soup and a sympathetic ear. Over the following weeks, Dorothea became more than just a benefactor. She became a mentor, teaching Sylvia the skills necessary to survive and thrive. Under Dorothea's guidance, Sylvia learned not only how to provide for herself, but also how to embrace her new role as a mother-to-be with courage and dignity. Dorothea often reminded Sylvia, Because someone has to help, and if not me, then who? These words resonated deeply, instilling in Sylvia a sense of purpose and resilience. As months passed and Sylvia's belly swelled with the promise of new life, the town continued to whisper and stare. But Dorothea's unwavering support shielded Sylvia from their judgments, allowing her to focus on the future rather than dwell on the pain of her past. On a cold, clear night, Sylvia gave birth to a daughter, whom she named Lila, a symbol of hope and renewal. Holding her newborn in her arms, Sylvia whispered softly, "Lila," her voice filled with love and determination. With Dorothea by her side, Sylvia embarked on a journey of redemption, determined to build a life worthy of the precious gift she now held close. As the seasons changed, so did Sylvia's life. With the help of Dorothea, she transformed her struggles into strengths, channeling her newfound resilience into creating a life she could be proud of. Her first major achievement was opening a small cafe, a haven of warmth and comfort in the heart of the community. The cafe quickly became a beloved fixture, drawing in locals with its inviting ambience and the irresistible aroma of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods. Sylvia worked tirelessly, pouring her heart into every detail, from the cozy decor to the personalized touches that made customers feel at home. Lila, now a bright and energetic teenager, proved to be an invaluable partner in this endeavor. Together, they created a space that wasn't just a business but a sanctuary where people could connect, share stories, and find solace. Their cafe became a pillar of the community, a testament to Sylvia's ability to rise above adversity and build something meaningful from the ashes of her past. However, beneath the surface of this newfound success lay unresolved questions about her family. The memory of her mother's rejection still lingered, a shadow that occasionally clouded her happiness. Sylvia often wondered about Adelina, questioning whether the woman who had once dismissed her so cruelly might have changed over the years. Could forgiveness be possible, or was the wound too deep to heal? These thoughts intensified as Sylvia observed Lila interacting with others, noticing the same innocent curiosity and love for family that Ellie had once embodied. It was a poignant reminder of the bonds she had lost, stirring emotions she had long suppressed. Despite her progress, Sylvia couldn't shake the feeling that true closure awaited her, hidden somewhere in the past she had tried so hard to leave behind. As autumn leaves began to fall, painting the town in hues of amber and gold, Sylvia prepared for a visit to the local market. Little did she know, this routine outing would bring an unexpected visitor, one whose arrival would force her to confront the ghosts of her past and decide whether reconciliation was worth pursuing. The stage was set for a pivotal moment, one that could redefine her relationship with her mother and reshape her future in ways she hadn't dared to imagine. The crisp autumn morning brought with it a chill that seemed to seep into the bones, yet Sylvia felt invigorated as she prepared the cafe for the day. The smell of freshly ground coffee mingled with the sweet aroma of cinnamon rolls baking in the oven, creating an inviting atmosphere that drew in the usual crowd. Customers greeted her warmly, unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. As the bell above the cafe door jingled, Sylvia looked up, expecting a regular patron. Instead, her breath caught in her throat as she froze in place. Standing in the doorway was a face she hadn't seen in 13 years, her mother, Adelina. Older, thinner, weaker, yet unmistakably the same woman who had once cast her out into the cold night. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The cafe fell silent, the bustling activity of patrons pausing as if the entire world had stopped breathing. Adelina clutched a small worn handbag tightly, her once proud posture now slightly hunched, betraying the years of wear and tear. Her voice, hesitant and fragile, broke the silence. "Hello, Sylvia." Sylvia's heart pounded in her chest, memories flooding back with overwhelming force. All the pain, anger, and longing she had buried resurfaced in an instant, threatening to consume her. She stared at Adelina, unsure of what to feel or say. Was this real? Was her mother truly standing there after all these years, seeking her out? Adelina took a tentative step forward, her voice trembling. I wanted to see you. To talk. Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken apologies and regrets. The cafe patrons shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension, yet none dared to interrupt the charged moment. Sylvia's mind raced, grappling with conflicting emotions. Should she forgive? Could she forget? Or was this merely another attempt to control her life, much like before? The question swirled in her head, leaving her paralyzed. Yet, as she looked at Adelina, she noticed the lines etched into her face, the frailty in her movements, and the vulnerability in her eyes. It was a side of her mother she had never seen before, one that stirred a flicker of sympathy amidst the lingering resentment. Taking a deep breath, Sylvia forced herself to speak. "Why now?" she asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "After all this time, why come back now?" Adelina hesitated, her gaze dropping to the floor. "I made mistakes, Sylvia," she admitted quietly. "Big ones. Mistakes that cost me more than I ever realized. I've spent years regretting what I did to you, wondering if it's too late to make amends." The admission struck Sylvia like a blow, forcing her to confront the possibility that her mother might genuinely seek redemption. But trust, once broken, was not easily rebuilt. Sylvia needed time to process, to weigh the sincerity of Adelina's words against the scars of her past. For now, she could only manage a guarded response. "I need to think," she said, her voice tinged with caution. "This isn't something I can answer right away." Adelina nodded, understanding the depth of Sylvia's hesitation. "I'll wait," she replied softly. "If you'll let me." With that, the encounter ended, leaving Sylvia to grapple with the complexities of forgiveness and the potential for healing. The cafe returned to its normal rhythm, but Sylvia's world had been irrevocably altered. The past she thought she had left behind had walked right through her door, demanding attention and resolution. What choice would she make? Would she choose revenge, or could she summon the strength to offer grace? As the days following Adelina's unexpected visit stretched into weeks, Sylvia found herself increasingly drawn to moments of solitude. The bustling cafe provided a comforting routine, yet it offered little respite from the storm of emotions swirling within her. Late at night, after closing up shop and tucking Lila into bed, Sylvia would retreat to the rooftop garden she had built atop the cafe. Here, surrounded by potted plants and the gentle hum of city lights, she could reflect on the choices that lay ahead. Each night, as she gazed at the stars, Sylvia revisited the events that had shaped her life, the joy and heartbreak, the triumphs and failures. She thought about the young girl she used to be, full of dreams but burdened by secrets. That girl had faced unimaginable challenges, yet she had survived, emerging stronger and wiser. Sylvia realized that while her past defined her, it did not define her future. She had built a life worth protecting, one filled with love, purpose, and the promise of new beginnings. Yet, the presence of her mother loomed large, casting a shadow over her peace. Adelina had shown up unexpectedly, bearing the weight of her own regrets, and now Sylvia was tasked with deciding whether to extend mercy or maintain distance. The decision was not hers alone. It involved Lila, whose connection to her grandmother was tenuous but undeniable. Sylvia wrestled with the idea of introducing Adelina into their lives, fearing the potential disruption it might cause. At the same time, she recognized the importance of family ties, however fraught they may be. To better understand her feelings, Sylvia sought counsel from those closest to her. Dorothea, ever the sage, listened intently as Sylvia poured out her concerns. "Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting," Dorothea reminded her gently. "It means letting go of the power your pain holds over you." These words resonated deeply, encouraging Sylvia to consider the possibility of moving forward without being tethered to the past. Meanwhile, Lila, perceptive as ever, noticed the change in her mother's demeanor. One evening, during a rare quiet moment at the cafe, Lila approached Sylvia with curiosity. What's wrong?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. Sylvia hesitated, unsure how much to reveal, but ultimately decided that honesty was the best policy. She shared the essence of Adelina's reappearance, careful to frame it in terms Lila could comprehend. Lila absorbed the information thoughtfully, her youthful perspective offering fresh insight. "Maybe Grandma just needs another chance," she suggested tentatively. "Not because she deserves it, but because we deserve closure." Her words struck a chord in Sylvia, reinforcing the notion that forgiveness could serve as a gift, not just to the one asking for it, but to the one granting it. Encouraged by these conversations, Sylvia began to envision a path forward. It wouldn't be easy, nor would it erase the hurt entirely, but perhaps it could pave the way for healing. As she descended from the rooftop garden one starlit night, Sylvia resolved to take the next step, whatever it might entail. For the first time in years, she felt ready to face the past, not as a victim, but as a survivor determined to reclaim her story. Armed with renewed clarity, Sylvia invited Adelina to meet her at the cafe one crisp morning, choosing neutral ground for what promised to be an emotionally charged conversation. The cafe buzzed with the usual energy, yet Sylvia ensured a private corner where they could speak without interruption. As Adelina arrived, her steps hesitant but resolute, Sylvia noted the visible effort she put into appearing composed. The years had tempered her, softening the edges of her once impenetrable demeanor. They sat across from each other, the table between them symbolic of the chasm they sought to bridge. Sylvia began cautiously, her voice measured yet firm. "You said you wanted to make amends," she started, her gaze steady. "Tell me what that means to you." Adelina took a deep breath, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup. "When I sent you away that night," she began, her voice trembling, "I thought I was protecting our family's reputation. I convinced myself that it was for the greater good, but I was wrong. My actions weren't about saving us, they were about saving face. And in doing so, I sacrificed the person who mattered most, you." Sylvia listened intently, her initial skepticism giving way to empathy as Adelina recounted the guilt and shame that had haunted her over the years. She spoke of sleepless nights, of realizing too late the magnitude of her mistake, and of the loneliness that came with alienating her own daughter. Her confession was raw and unguarded, stripped of the pretense that had characterized their earlier interactions. Though moved by Adelina's candor, Sylvia remained cautious. "Even if I believe you," she countered, "how do I trust that this is real? How do I know you won't revert to the person who abandoned me?" Adelina nodded, acknowledging the validity of Sylvia's concerns. "I can't promise perfection," she admitted, "but I can promise effort. Every day, I'll strive to show you that I'm different now, that I value you more than anything else. If you're willing, I'd like to prove it through action, not just words." Their dialogue extended beyond that morning, evolving into a series of meetings and shared experiences. Adelina helped out at the cafe, learning alongside Lila and gaining a glimpse into the life Sylvia had painstakingly built. She attended school events, becoming a supportive figure in Lila's life, albeit tentatively. Slowly but surely, the rigid boundaries began to soften, replaced by moments of genuine connection. One afternoon, as they worked together in the cafe kitchen, Adelina turned to Sylvia with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me a second chance, for letting me be part of your world again." Sylvia smiled faintly, recognizing the significance of their progress. While the wounds of the past would always remain, they no longer dictated the present. Together, they were forging a new relationship, one rooted in mutual respect and understanding. It was a delicate balance, requiring patience and perseverance, but it offered hope, a chance to rewrite their story on terms that honored both their histories and their futures. As the seasons continued to turn, the bond between Sylvia, Adelina, and Lila grew stronger, transforming the fractured family dynamic into one of unity and mutual support. This newfound harmony did not come without its challenges. Old habits occasionally resurfaced, and misunderstandings arose, but each obstacle was met with open communication and a willingness to learn from the past. Through these efforts, Sylvia discovered a profound truth: healing was not a destination but a journey, one that required constant nurturing and vigilance. The cafe, once a mere business venture, evolved into a symbol of their collective resilience. Its walls bore witness to countless conversations, laughter-filled moments, and even the occasional tearful embrace. Sylvia infused her personal growth into the establishment, turning it into a place where others could find solace and inspiration. Patrons often remarked on the unique atmosphere, noting how it felt less like a commercial space and more like a home away from home. This sentiment was no accident. It stemmed directly from Sylvia's commitment to fostering a sense of belonging among her community. Lila, now blossoming into a confident young woman, played a pivotal role in this transformation. Her presence added vibrancy to the cafe, drawing in younger crowds who admired her creativity and charisma. She organized art exhibits, poetry readings, and workshops, turning the venue into a hub for cultural exchange. These initiatives not only enhanced the cafe's reputation, but also strengthened the familial ties, as Adelina actively participated in supporting Lila's endeavors. Watching her daughter and granddaughter collaborate brought Sylvia immense pride, reaffirming the importance of generational connection. Beyond the cafe, Sylvia expanded her influence by mentoring other single mothers in the community. Drawing from her own experiences, she established a support network aimed at empowering women facing similar challenges. This outreach program provided resources, emotional guidance, and practical assistance, helping countless individuals navigate the complexities of parenthood and independence. Her work earned her recognition within the town, solidifying her status as a leader and advocate for marginalized voices. Through these achievements, Sylvia came to embody the ideals of strength, compassion, and perseverance. Her story served as a powerful reminder that even in the darkest moments, there exists the potential for redemption and renewal. By embracing her past and using it as fuel for positive change, she inspired those around her to confront their own struggles with courage and grace. And so, the legacy of Sylvia's journey extended far beyond her immediate family, touching lives throughout the community and beyond. It was a testament to the enduring power of forgiveness, the transformative nature of love, and the boundless possibilities that arise when one chooses to rise above adversity. As the years rolled on, the cafe became a cornerstone of the town, its name synonymous with resilience and hope. Sylvia watched with quiet satisfaction as Lila graduated high school, her bright future stretching out before her like an endless horizon. Meanwhile, Adelina, now a regular fixture at the cafe, found peace in her role as a grandmother and confidante. The three generations formed a tapestry of shared experiences, each thread woven with lessons learned and wisdom gained. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the cafe, Sylvia stood on the rooftop garden, gazing at the bustling street below. The town had changed since that fateful night when she was cast out, yet some things remained constant: the laughter of children, the rustle of leaves, and the enduring human spirit. She reflected on how far she had come, from a frightened teenager facing an uncertain future to a woman who had built a life steeped in meaning and purpose. Her thoughts drifted to James, the absent father whose absence had shaped so much of her journey. Though he remained a distant memory, Sylvia no longer harbored bitterness toward him. Instead, she saw him as a catalyst for her growth, a reminder that even the hardest trials could lead to unexpected blessings. Lila, in her own way, represented the fusion of their disparate worlds, a living testament to the complexity and beauty of life. Looking ahead, Sylvia envisioned new horizons. The cafe, thriving as it was, offered opportunities for expansion, both physically and philosophically. She dreamed of creating a foundation dedicated to supporting single mothers and their children, providing not just financial aid but also mentorship and community. This vision aligned perfectly with her belief in the power of collective strength and solidarity. Yet, as ambitious as these plans were, Sylvia understood that true fulfillment lay not in external achievements, but in the relationships she nurtured. Her bond with Adelina, once fractured beyond repair, now flourished with surprising vitality. They shared stories, laughed at old memories, and occasionally argued, but through it all, they maintained a deep respect for one another. Similarly, her connection with Lila deepened, enriched by the mutual understanding that family was not defined by blood alone, but by the choices one made to love and support others. As the night deepened, Sylvia descended from the rooftop, rejoining Adelina and Lila inside the cafe. Together, they closed up shop, tidying away the remnants of another busy day. In the quiet moments that followed, Sylvia felt a profound sense of gratitude, not just for the life she had built, but for the people who had become her anchors. The past, with all its pain and triumphs, had led her here, shaping her into the person she was destined to be. And so the story of Sylvia, her family, and the cafe continued to unfold, each chapter richer than the last. It was a tale of survival, of love reborn, and of the infinite capacity of the human heart to heal and grow. As the echoes of tomorrow reverberated through the corridors of her life, Sylvia embraced the uncertainty with open arms, knowing that whatever came next, she would face it with the same unwavering strength that had carried her this far.
And that's where our story ends. What did you think of this story? Share your emotions in the comments below. We'd love to know what you remember most. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more unforgettable stories. And if you are in the mood for another exciting story, check out our next video. It's waiting for you. Until then, stay curious, get inspired, and keep exploring the stories that make life extraordinary. See you in the next one.